evening, viewers. Today we will be discussing the life and indirect leadership of a German engineer, Ferdinand Porsche. Ferdinand was born in Austria on September 3, 1875, and died in 1951. He is best known for creating the first full hybrid vehicle, and he designed the Volkswagen Beetle and various other Porsche automobiles. He was involved in the war effort in designing German tanks and was responsible for creating the People's Car, which went throughout Germany and throughout the world. We are going to look at a preview of his life, his accomplishments and lasting influence, and how his leadership relates to applications with Burns, Renan-Swattez, and Gardner. Furthermore, we will be discussing the implications of his influence as our group's kaleidoscope group lens.
Ever wish you owned a Volkswagen?
Much of his childhood is unknown, but we do know a couple of things. His father, Antoni Porsche, was a metalsmith, and his mother, Anna Porsche, was supportive of his interests. He had an older brother as well who was killed in an accident, and therefore he was expected to take on his father's business, although he had little interest in the subject. Rather, when he was younger, he visited an electric light plant created to power a carpet factory, which sparked an interest with electrical principles. He conducted his own independent experiments involving acids and batteries, and in his free time, researched and became involved with car racing. When he was a bit older, he became a part-time student at the Imperial Technical University at Reichenberg, which is now called the Vienna University of Technology. Additionally, his studies led him to an opportunity in the field of engineering, where as a young adult, at the age of 18, he worked at Bella Egger and Company. This company does not exist today, but has been renamed Brown Boveri. He worked his way up from a student employee to a management in the testing and experimental department.
Und nun die bequemen und verstellbaren Vordersitze. Na, wie sitzen Sie?
Großartig.
Und auch hinten ist überraschend viel Platz.
Ja, sehr bequem.
Und wenn es sein muss, sogar für 3.
In his personal life, he dated a bookkeeper in college, Louise Case, whom he eventually married. They had 2 daughters and a son, Ferdinand Jr., whom he called Ferry. The family lived comfortably. However, after World War I, the company he worked for suffered financial difficulties, and he had the vision that he could emerge from this period with a small, affordable automobile. It could be mass-produced and distributed to the people. He based this off of the success of the Ford Motor Company's Model T, which was manufactured in Detroit. Unfortunately, his vision was struck down by 2 different companies, and he was forced to follow their plans rather than his individual goal. In 1930, he was able to found his own firm and join the Auto Union Company, a conglomerate of German automakers. Through his involvement, he met Adolf Hitler in March of 1933. Hitler was hoping that Germany could create the Volkswagen, also known as the People's Car, in order to build an appealing platform to increase his political popularity. Finally, Porsche had met someone with political influence who shared the same automotive vision. He designed a car that would be marketed to the public affordably because of government subsidies, and Hitler opened a Volkswagen factory in 1938 called KDF City, and later renamed Käfer, which is German for beetle. These cars were produced in 1939, and when World War II began, the factory was converted over to the production of military vehicles. When this occurred, he was appointed the head of the German Tank Commission. His designs received honors from the Nazi Party.
And welcome back. Now we're going to take a closer look at his accomplishments and the impacts they've had. Our expert, Dr. Barbara Smith, will be looking at the then and nows.
While trying to design the automobile shape, Hitler told Porsche that it should look like a June bug. Ferdinand Porsche created the first Volkswagen vehicle, also known as the People's Car. Today, the most recognizable Volkswagen vehicle is the Volkswagen Beetle. From the first design to the latest design, the shape of the Beetle has not changed significantly from the initial design by Hitler. Ferdinand Porsche created the first full hybrid vehicle in 1900, calling it the Semper Vivus, which had a top speed of 22 miles per hour and had a fuel range of 124 miles. Having created the first full hybrid car and the first Porsche cars, these luxury Porsches can be seen on the streets around the world today. The Cayenne Turbo Porsche car has a top speed of 172 miles per hour and has a fuel range of 580 miles. We can thank Ferdinand Porsche for these cars today. Ferdinand Porsche designed the first race car with a mid-engine rear-wheel drive. With this torpedo-shaped design race car, Porsche won the top car race event, the Prinz Heinrich Fahrt, with a top speed of 87 miles per hour. In today's race car driving, drivers are able to reach a top speed of almost 200 miles per hour. Ferdinand Porsche developed and manufactured weapons for the German World War II effort. His biggest contribution for the war effort was the design of the advanced German tanks, which Hitler approved. Ferdinand's design of the advanced tank has not changed from the original design. Tanks that are used today have the same design as those used in World War II, but fortified to be stronger and last longer. Porsche invented the Lohner Porsche Semper Vivus, which was the first four-wheel drive vehicle in automotive history. He created this car by mounting the hub motor on each of the four wheels. Every four-wheel drive vehicle is based upon Ferdinand's four-wheel drive design. We can also see this design in NASA, where the same principle was used 70 years later in their lunar vehicle, which traveled to the moon.
Wertbeständigen Volkswagen.
Hi, today we'll be interviewing Ashley about Ferdinand Porsche's leadership involving the influence lens. Ashley, in what ways do you see transactional leadership taking place in our unit leader situation?
Well, Porsche is definitely a transactional leader, and we can see this in how he interacted with his subordinates and those that had authority over him. As a student and a young adult in the working world, he simply worked and designed when he was approached and he gained a reward. A simple example of this is the way that he and his followers engaged in a producer and consumer relationship. Apart from this, he did not go far beyond that to change the world around him. Rather, he followed his individual passion for technology and happened to make some extraordinary designs.
Thank you. Ashley, who were the key players in Porsche's situation, and what were their needs?
The key players in his situation were the German people and Hitler. Hitler certainly wasn't a subordinate to Porsche, but was he a follower? I'd like to offer that he was. Hitler needed Porsche for his ideas in order to fulfill his own personal needs for political power, just like the German people needed an affordable vehicle. This was especially important with the financial repercussions of World War I. The Treaty of Versailles was very damaging to the financial status of the German people, and it was very difficult to afford luxuries like cars. Hitler depended on Porsche's fulfillment of the people's needs and by extension, fulfilling the people's needs was fulfilling Hitler's needs.
How were Ferdinand Porsche's followers effective followers? What qualities did they possess?
Well, Hitler was an effective follower of Porsche because he provided all the finances, materials, and resources necessary for the production of Volkswagen. The German people were also extremely effective followers, as their role in being consumers by either supporting or rejecting his ideas, which in a way shows that their opinion mattered to him. Their consumerism directly determined whether or not Porsche's vision would succeed or fail. Had they not bought the cars, Porsche would not have had the resources to continue production.
You already mentioned effective followers, but what about the others? Can you identify followers of Porsche who were alienated sheeps, yes people? Can you also explain what these followers are?
Well, alienated followers rarely openly oppose their leader, but they may be unhappy. Sheep followers are passive and uncritical. A group of followers that could fit either of these categories would be the Jews, other victims of concentration camps, or lower-class Germans working in the factories that Porsche had authority over, because their opinions and needs were not important to Porsche's vision. He didn't really have yes-men followers because he was forced to work to stay ahead and create economically competitive designs for cars and smaller car batteries.
Today we'll be interviewing Ashley about Ferdinand Porsche's influence. His influenced followers all over Germany. Influence, don't you know? Influence! And that concludes our interview with Ashley on influence.